Thank you everybody for coming. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Belinda Kerr and I run the Recruitment Garage. And a few weeks ago, we had a webinar on surviving and thriving COVID. And one of the things that I talked about quite briefly was getting extra leads through Google Xray and Boolean. And what was apparent was that a lot of people didn't know about it and wanted to know more about it. So here we've got a kind of a string out session from that. I will record it. If for whatever reason you have to go earlier, I'll record it. I'll post it on our Facebook group and on the website so you can go back and look at it later on. So we've got 30 minutes. I'm going to go pretty quickly. I'll try and keep one eye on the chat. So, all right, let's get started. This morning I put together a brief little presentation because this Google Xray searching of Boolean it's going to be better to show you ideally online. Because of the Zoom, I won't be able to do that because of the internet connection, but I'm going to go through a brief presentation with you and hopefully you'll have enough to then be able to go off and do it on your own. So let me just share my screen. Right, now we're off to the races. I'm just going to assume that you have a basic working knowledge of Boolean, but not so much of Google Xray, because that's what came out of the when we did the webinar the other day. So I'm just going to give a quick overview of Boolean Search and then we'll talk more deeply about Google Xray. Now I can't see the chat box while I'm doing this. What I'll do is I'll come straight back to that when I've gone through this. This is only 4 or 5 pages. So first up, Boolean searching. Really, Boolean searching is a combination of keywords and what they call operators to enable you to do a deeper search within sites. And those typical operators are and, not, and or, so that you can put in chocolate cake and vanilla cake, and when you go in to do a search, it'll come up with both, or not will obviously exclude one, and or will give you either. That's the very basic Boolean search. You can do that in a lot of sites. So LinkedIn, for example, you can do a basic Boolean search. I'm sure you all know that. You can do it on Google and many other search platforms. Not all, but most. And as Boolean gets a little bit more extensive, then you can start to do things like put parentheses around different parts of it. And I'll show you in a string in a minute at the bottom how you can do that. Inverted commas, wildcards, and all these things together form what they call a Google string, which is the ultimate thing that you put into the URL. So at the bottom there, I've just got an example. So down the bottom, I put a string together here just to demonstrate what we're talking about. So you can see project manager, I've got there in inverted commas. So what that's doing is that's telling Google to just look for project and manager together. So it's not just going to come up with the word project, because by putting the inverted commas around it, I've said I want to look for both of these words together. And then by adding in and, it's saying I want the full word project manager and I want project director. And then the parenthesis around the outside is then grouping all that together as one search. And then it's saying I'll have project manager and project director, thank you very much, or I'll have just on its own project manager. So if I was to put that string into Google, it would come up with project managers and project directors or project managers, which in a way is kind of counterintuitive, because really it will come up with everything. But the purpose of that was just to show you how you put a string together. Now I'm pretty sure that most of you will know how to do that and do a basic Boolean search. So let's take that and then take it one step further. So all that Google Xray does, so all that Boolean Xray does is really takes this to an advanced level, and it does that by adding in a whole stack more operators that enable you to do a lot deeper Boolean search. So you can do I call it Google Xray. You'll hear it called Google Xray, but you can do this in other search engines too, like Bing and the other ones that are out there. It's not limited to Google. So deep Boolean searching with search engines such as Google, all the standard operators work, so and, not, or, etc. The thing is with the not operator, that is a standard for Boolean, is when you use that in a Google Xray search, it becomes a hyphen. So when you're doing Google Xray searching, you want to put if you want to exclude something, you put the hyphen in, not the word not. Hopefully that makes sense. And there, if you searched on the internet for Google Xray operators, you would get, I don't know how many there are, but there's certainly a lot more than I'm showing you here. There's 50, 100 more, I'm not sure. But the main ones that are going to help you with recruitment are site, which instructs Google to search for a specific website. In URL, which says to Google, I want you to look for these words in the URL of the search results. In title, which tells Google, I want you to look in the title of the search results. In text, which means the body text. And another cool thing that you can do with Google Xray is search file types. So Excel files, Word docs, etc. And where that's really useful is if you've hooked onto something that has a conference, for example, and there's speakers, quite often you'll find websites will host those at the back end on an Excel, quite often Excel, but it could be Word as well. So if you feel like, and things like industry sites, those sorts of things that are running conference, or industry groups that are running conferences, those types of things will often have lists held on their site on Excel. So you can do that as well. So let me just show you in a little bit more detail what I'm talking about there. So all I've got here is I just put in, this is just a screenshot to show you what I'm talking about. So I've typed in here project managers. So if you look, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse, but if you look here where I've got how to become a project manager, a complete guide for 2020, just above that where it's got www.paymoapp.com, etc. That's the URL. And then how to become a project manager is the title. So when on that previous slide I had in title, you'd be, if you type in title into your Google Xray search, you would be searching here. And then if you put in text, it's going to be anything that comes up in this bit below here where it says project management is one of the most complex fields of work out there. That's instructing Google to look in there. So I just wanted to, I was hoping to be able to do this live and give you some live searches, but because of the internet connection, I thought that was going to be a pretty bad idea. So we'll work with what we've got. And okay, so let's have a look more specifically at LinkedIn. As I said, I'll post this up on the site and I'll put in the Facebook page so you can have this. Don't worry about if you're missing the exact nuances of it, because you have to get the strings exactly right or they won't work. Where this is really cool is if you've got a LinkedIn profile, you can log out of LinkedIn and you can go into Google and type in the site operator for Google Xray, so site:/LinkedIn.com, and what that will do without you being logged in, it will let you from the outside in Xray search LinkedIn. Now you will get you will definitely get more and different results than you get when you're in your profile. I don't know how this stuff works, I just know that it does. So I'm not saying don't go into LinkedIn and do what you're doing, do that as well. But what you'll find is if you have a go at doing this, you'll find results that you don't come up with on LinkedIn. I think people make the assumption that LinkedIn shows you all of the profiles. If you're making a search on LinkedIn, that LinkedIn will serve up all the results that are there. They don't give you everything. So I think that's why with doing this through Xray, often you'll get results that you won't get the other way. So you can use them both hand in hand. And again, in LinkedIn, the in URL, so what we would do, and I'll show you in a bit more detail in a minute here, but what you would do is you put site:/LinkedIn.com. If you wanted to search for people's profiles on LinkedIn, you would then go in URL, so you'd have the site, you'd be in the LinkedIn site, then you would go in URL.com/in or in URL:/com/pub, and that would search people's profiles for you. By putting another operator in there, :/director, that stops searching other directories. I don't really think that you need to do that, but if for some reason you're getting some random results, if you put that in as well, it will stop that happening. I've never really needed it, but that's what that does. Equally, if you're looking for companies on LinkedIn, in URL :company, because what we know is that the way that LinkedIn set up their URLs is with each of the companies has company in their URL. They also have /in or pub if they're people profile. So that's why that in URL works for LinkedIn. If you're just wanting to search on a specific country, so if you're in the UK, the US, whatever country you're in, if you type in after the site : if you put in the abbreviation there for the country, it will just search on the particular country that you want. You can also do this, somebody typed in the chat when we were doing this webinar, you can also do this at a state level. I'm not sure of what you put in there to do that, but if you wanted to do your own research, you'd probably find that as well. Now, here's a few rules to follow. So I've got the example up here at the top, site.linkedin.com. As I said, do this logged out of your own LinkedIn. All of the operators on Google Xray are lowercase. Now, I think someone must have been having a bit of a laugh because all of the standard Boolean operators are uppercase. So I don't know why that's not the same, but it's not. So all of your Boolean ones are uppercase, your Google Xray ones are lowercase, so you need to remember that. The operator is always immediately followed by the colon. So you can see your site : you have to have that. You take out the www, you don't need that. And you must add the domain suffix. So you've got to have the .com there, and the text butts up against the operator. You can't have any spaces. So all this seems, I remember when I first came across this, like, God, how am I going to remember that? But once you've done it a few times, it just becomes second nature, and it'll just click into here. And you've got to have the text butting right up against the operator, so no spaces. Oh, I said that. And then what you'll find is when you start doing Google Xray searching, you'll get, if you start wide, which is what I recommend that you do, you'll get a lot of results that you don't want. So for example, with recruitment, if you started typing in into Google and doing some searches, but you were looking for candidates, for example, what you'll find is you'll come up with a lot of jobs. So all you need to do is then exclude them by putting hyphen jobs and hyphen job, or if you didn't want vacancies, hyphen vacancy or vacancies, to stop the jobs coming up, so that then you're finding more people that are working as project managers or whatever you're searching for. So you'll see what I mean. When you start doing searches, you'll get a whole lot of results of things you don't want, and you'll see some words that are common to those results. So you get rid of those, and then that will bring more of what you do want. If you go the other way and start smaller and try to go broader, I don't think it works as well that way. And there's a shortcut too. You can use, there's a little tool called Recruitment, and I've got the login there for you, the email address for you, the internet address for you there. And what that does, it won't give you as an extensive search, but it kind of does all the back end Google Xray, puts all the Google Xrays in behind the interface. So you can go in there and type, for example, the job you want experience. There's about 5 different fields. Check it out, you'll see what I mean. And that can be quite a little useful tool for bringing up some results for you if you're not wanting to do the full Google search yourself. So that can be quite handy. And I think I might have skipped a page. Let me just go back. Wait a minute, or maybe I just went faster than I thought. So what I'll do is, after today, as I said, I'll post this up on the Facebook group if you want to have a look at it. If you want to contact me there, there's my email for you. Are you able to do a search string for us to see? I was wanting to, Sophia, but I'm just a bit worried if I go online, it's just going to be really slow. Hopefully that one that actually I'm just going to unmute you, Sophia. Hopefully that one that I showed you, I think you might have to unmute, but there we go. Hi, Sophia.
Hi.
Hi. Did you I'm not sure when you put that chat up, but did you see the one that I did in the presentation?
Yeah, I saw it. I was just wondering when you were saying you get a lot of information that you might not need and what that actually looks like and how
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So say, for example, you did a search and you know the page that I showed you where the results were?
Yeah.
Yeah. So quite often what you'll get, if you're typing in, say, for example, you type in a job, project managers, what you'll tend to find, if you're looking for project managers, you'll tend to find what happens is you get a lot of jobs for project managers. So Google will go scraping Indeed and all these sites and it'll be, project manager, $50,000 a year, whatever it is. And you go, but I don't want that. I want just people. Right. So they'll all show up in the results and you'll just see them one after the other. So then all you would need to do is go back up to your search where you put the search in and just add at the end, I don't know if you can see my hand up in the air, add up hyphen jobs, hyphen vacancy, anything that's coming up that you don't want, and then hit search again and they will go.
Right, okay. So the search string is just one continuous, everything you want or don't want, you just continuously add it along as you go.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. In Google, they say that you don't need to add and, which is right, you don't. But I always do it just out of habit. And sometimes it could be user error on my part, but sometimes I do find I put something in and I go, why did I get that result? Sometimes you've just got to play with it a little bit to get what you do actually want as well. But what you'll find is when you play with it a bit, you'll get to see what works, and then you'll just be able to use this. You'll get a bit of a like a rhythm going with it, and you can just put in what you know works. It just takes a bit of faffing around within the beginning to get it right. Hopefully that has been, as I said, it's just a really quick little session. Hopefully there's been some value there for you. If you've got any more questions about it, just email me. Hi Belinda, I'll play around with it. So those of you who are in the program, this is a very cut down version of what you'll get in the second module. So there's a lot more there for you. The others that aren't with me in the program, if you want to know more about it, you can certainly do, ironically, Google searches and just Google search Google Xray, and there'll be a lot more stuff that comes up for you. But what I've given you there is probably all you need. You will find more people that way. So enjoy it, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, everybody.